As Muslims, we are often reminded of our moral, ethical, and religious obligation to fellow humans who are in some difficulty, adversity, or tragedy. And from time to time, there is a call and a campaign: respond, assist, empower. Like someone said it in the Arabic language, "Sabruka fi musibatika khayrun min jaz'ik. وَجَزْعُكَ فِي مُصِيبَةِ أَخِيكَ خَيْرٌ مِّن صَبْرِكَ." It's always better for you to persevere on your own pain and affliction, and it's always better for you to react and assist and not be silent on the pain of others. To a certain extent, the Muslim Ummah continues to rally, assist and support, and may Allah bless one and all. But that's not the focus of my talk today. I want to change strides momentarily as we draw towards the final days of the sacred, blessed and momentous month of Ramadan. How often are we reminded and told that it is our duty in an equal way to share in the joy, happiness and prosperity of others? When my brother or my sister has accomplished something, they are in a prosperous situation, then as a Muslim it's my duty to wish well for them, compliment them and congratulate them. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu said, "Inni la asma' bil ghayth yusibu lil muslimina ardan fa afrahu bihi wa ma bi bitilka al ard min sa'imah." I would hear that rain has come on a neighboring town, on a neighboring country. I don't have any family there, nor do I have any flock grazing there. Just to know that rain has come and benefited some humans in some part of the world, for me it gives me the equal sense of joy as though that rain has benefited me myself. وَإِنِّي لَأَسْمَعْ لِلْحَاكِمْ مِنْ حُكَّامِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ يَقْضِي بِالْعَدْلِ فَأَفْرَحُ بِهِ وَمَا بِي بِتِلْكَ الْأَرْضِ مِنْ قَضِيَّةٍ. I would hear about a judge, an advocate who is executing justice. I don't have any case, nothing pending, I don't have any hearing, I have nothing to do with that particular judge or advocate. But just to know there's a good man who's selfless, who's giving value back to the community, brings joy to me, brings happiness to me. And that's the message that I want to conclude as we bid farewell to the sacred month of Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ is having a private meeting with Abu Bakr and Umar radiyallahu anhuma. It's the late hours of the night, the early hours of the morning. As they conclude and they exit, they find Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu engaged in prayer, in nocturnal prayer. Wow. The Prophet of Allah comes from the rear, and then he pauses and he extends an attentive ear to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah is engrossed, immersed in his prayer. He says to Abu Bakr and Umar, "Man sarrahu an yaqra al-Qur'an ratban kama nazal falyaqra ala qira'ati ibn Abd." If you want to read the Quran like how it was revealed to me, then follow this man. This is the manner in which the Quran ought to be recited. Then Abdullah ibn Mas'ud goes on into prayer, and as he's supplicating, the Prophet of Allah is saying Ameen to his supplication. Abu Bakr and Umar are standing on the wings, green with envy, green with envy. Umar radiallahu anhu said, "In my heart I decided that tomorrow I'm going to go to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and I'm going to share the good news. You were in prayer, you were in supplication, clueless of who was standing behind you, only to know the Prophet of Allah was endorsing your prayer and saying Ameen to it." The gathering concluded, we dispersed, I retired to bed. Early morning I rise, I dash to the door of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, I knock on the door. He opens and he ushers me in. I say to him, "Oh Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, I have good news for you." He says, "Tell me, what's the good news?" He said, "You recall last night you were performing prayer?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Well, I want to tell you, after your prayer, when you were supplicating and making dua, the Prophet ﷺ was saying Ameen to your dua. I have come to share that good news. I'm happy for you. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, I appreciate your sentiments, but Abu Bakr was here earlier and he conveyed it to me. Umar ibn Khattab said, Wallahi ma sabaqtu Aba Bakrin qattu ila khairin illa sabaqani ilay. I knew that Abu Bakr had always excelled me. I thought there was a niche for me to tap in here. And that is just to have the cleanliness of heart to share in the joy of others. But lo and behold, Abu Bakr is a legend par excellence. He has excelled on every front. My message is, my brother and my sister, find it within yourself to be happy on the accomplishments of others, and every day you will be happy in your life. And if you're a person who's depressed by the accomplishments of others, then every day of your life will be an added day of agony and depression. The most telling tale in this regard, the Prophet ﷺ tells Zayd radiyallahu anhu, who initially he had adopted. Zayd radiyallahu anhu was adopted by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and then his father went looking for him. بكيت على زيد ولم أدر ما فعل أحي فيرجى أم أتى دونه الأجل فوالله ما أدري وإني لسائل أغالك بعدي السهل أم غالك الجبل تذكرنيه الشمس عند طلوعها وتعرض ذكراه إذا غربها أفل وإن هبت الأرواح هيجن ذكره فيا طول ما حزني عليه ويا وجل. The father laments the separation of his son, that as long as the sun rises and the birds chirp and the winds blow, your separation agonizes me. Finally he comes to the Prophet ﷺ and he says, I believe my son is in your care. The Prophet ﷺ said, yes, absolutely. He said, I have come to pay ransom to take him. The Prophet of Allah ﷺ said, no, you can have him. I will not take a dime in lieu. I will not take a cent in lieu. But one thing I will not do, I will not send Zayd against his wishes. So his father says, oh my son Zayd, come, I have come to take you. And his uncle was with. He says, oh my biological dad, I respect, honor and revere you. You are my father and that is my uncle. But the Prophet of Allah embodies an uncle, brother, friend, associate in every regard. In his personality, I see everyone and everything I need. So he opts to stay with the Prophet ﷺ. Time moves on. The Prophet of Allah sends a proposal. Listen to this very, very attentively. The Prophet ﷺ sends a proposal to his cousin Zainab radiyallahu anha, Zainab bint Umaymah. Umaymah was the aunt of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His maternal aunt, his paternal aunt, the daughter of Abdul Muttalib, the sister of Abdullah, the father of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Zainab radiyallahu anha has a reservation. She says, no, Zayd, I don't think I'm comfortable. Because in the lineage of Zayd, there was a stint, a period of slavery. So then she felt it's not compatible. I belong to another class, he belongs to another class. Allah revealed the verse, وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَن يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَرَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ. It doesn't befit the believing male and female when Allah and His Prophet pronounce a decree for them to ask for choice, option, negotiation in the matter. When the verses were revealed, she obliged, she acceded, she responded, and the marriage was solemnized. The marriage was solemnized. But just to expedite it, شاءت حكمة الله ألا يتوافق بين زيد وزينب. By the will of Allah, the marriage was just not compatible. It just wasn't developing. There was issues, there was back and forth, there was up and down, it was turbulent. And then Zayd would come to the Prophet ﷺ, myself and Zainab are not getting along. And the Prophet ﷺ said, أمسك عليك زوجك واتق الله وتخفي في نفسك. Listen, Zayd, just keep your wife. Just hang on. Don't dissolve. Don't terminate. Don't end. Just make peace. Reconcile. But he realized at some point it's going to dissolve. Now, in his heart, the Quran says in the 22nd juz, he concealed an emotion which Allah was going to divulge and Allah was going to reveal. And what was this emotion? وَتُخْفِي فِي نَفْسِكَ مَا اللَّهُ مُبْدِيهِ وَتَخْشَى النَّاسِ. And that is, he was going to wed Zainab if Zayd radiallahu anhu divorced her. Because the only way I can mend her heart, rescue her emotions, comfort her self-esteem, empower her, she took the bold step of wedding Zayd against her wishes on my proposal. Lo and behold, it did not materialize. Now to patch and mend her emotions, I will have to wed her. But this is where I bring you to the point of reflection on my topic. The environment out there is toxic, my brother and my sister. We're carrying too many grudges in our life and we're giving off this negative energy. We need to become light. We need to become relaxed. We need to be happy. We need to empower. We need to be cheerful. The Prophet ﷺ sent Zayd, the former spouse of Zainab, said, go to your ex-wife and go and tell her I am proposing to her. Wow. Did you get that, my brother? Did you hear that, my sister? Generally, when a marriage breaks up, it's like, well, I want to see if he can get better than me. And I want to see if she can get better than me. You can tour the world, you're not going to get another me. It has ended, it has dissolved. The Prophet ﷺ is sending Zayd that you go back to your spouse and tell her. وَفِي هَذَا مِنَ الْحِكْمَةِ أَنَّ مَا يَقَعُ بَيْنَ الزَّوْجَيْنِ مِنْ نَفْرَةٍ وَخِلَافٍ ثُمَّ طَلَاقٍ لَا يَجُوزُ أَنْ يَكُونَ مَانِعًا مِنْ نُصْحِ إِحْدَى الزَّوْجَيْنِ لِلْآخَرِ. فهذا زيد برغم ما وقع بينه وبين زينب يذهب إليها بل ويقول لها أبشري يا زينب فإن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يخطبك. Wow. The practical wisdom incorporated in the prophetic methodology of dispatching Zayd radiallahu anhu to his former spouse is to impress upon us that even if you had a sour ending with someone, that doesn't mean you should stop desiring good for your former spouse. The teachings of Islam are be selfless, be wholesome, empower and benefit people, even if it means someone with whom you did not have the best of relationship. I came across, we live in a world today where people go for these motivational talks, and then you have this psychology, and then you have this therapy, and then you have this theory, and then they package it together, and it's in a glossy magazine, and it's quite colorful and flamboyant and, you know, conspicuous, and then these are the 5 things to do, 5 not to do, anger management, this and that. But listen to this amazing, phenomenal reflection in the verse of the Quran. So Allah speaks about the time when the brothers of Yusuf arrive in Egypt, and Yusuf is on the throne of Egypt. He's on the throne and his brothers arrive. فَعَرَفَهُمْ وَهُمْ لَهُ مُنْكِرُونَ. He recognizes, this is my brothers, yeah. But they didn't recognize him because he evolved. He was a child when they dropped him in the well. There were so many different milestones as he grew and evolved. And they were in the advanced age of their life. And they couldn't imagine him sitting on the throne. It's a verse of the Quran. Anyway, formality goes on. He speaks to them. They're given some food, some corn, some grain. He then calls the servants of the palace and he says, اجعلوا بضاعتهم في رحالهم. When you go back and these people leave, the money taken from them, put it back in their saddlebags. Put it back in the saddlebags. That's my blood. Fast forward the whole tale, comes the moment where the bubble bursts and the secret is divulged. and the brothers confess and concede guilt that we are wrong and Allah has honored you. Now I beg for your undivided attention, and I came across this. It's such a profound reflection. I promise you, if you and I can take this lesson of life, it's a formula to make your stay on earth pleasant. So the Prophet Yusuf says, لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين. Listen, my brothers, the 40 years of infliction, systematic oppression, separation, lies, distortion, fabrication, brutality, I have forgiven everything, and I will continue praying to Allah to forgive you. The question arises, as much as he was a prophet, he was a human, he was a mortal. How do you muster the courage? What's the psychology? What's the thinking? What's the vision? What's the mechanism? What's the stimulation? I mean, you're a human, you're a mortal, you have emotions. There's so many things. You can have, go down memory lane, and all these inflictions can evoke nasty memories. How could he muster the courage and clear out everything in one slate? And this is what I read in the tafsir, and it's so profound. إذا نظر العبد إلى الخلق بعين الحق لم يعبأ بمخالفتهم وإذا نظر العبد إلى الخلق بعينه أفنى أيامه في مخاصمتهم ألا ترى إلى يوسف حين علم مجرى القضاء عذر إخوته. Oh my word, I know my time is up, and I'm going to conclude on this note. I want you to just absorb and digest this. The theory, the analogy given to explain the vision of the pious, how they can flush out negativity, close the chapter, turn the page, move on, embrace a new page of life, and be light and happy, cheerful, and not hold and keep any grudge. How they do it? When a servant views the wrong of fellow servants, a human views the wrong of fellow humans with the apparent eye, the physical eye, the tangible eye, then afna ayyamahu fi mukhasamatihim. He destroys his whole life in proving his innocence and implicating others. No, but I'll never forgive you what you did to me on my wedding day. But that was nasty. That was evil. That was obnoxious. How evil. How could you have ever said such a nasty thing to my son? But that was wicked of you to do this to my sister. So when a person views the happenings around him of fellow humans with the apparent, the outward, the physical eye, his entire life goes in back and forth, up and down, productive, counterproductive, exonerating himself, implicating others, to no avail. Your life ends. Afna ayyamahu fi mukhasamatihim. But flip the coin and look at the lenses of the pious. وَإِذَا نَظَرَ الْعَبْدُ إِلَى الْخَلْقِ بِعَيْنِهِ. When a servant views the atrocities of other humans to him with the deeper eye and the inner eye, and that is the will of Allah, that those around me are nothing more than instruments for the execution of the plan that Allah has decreed for me, then he can release all negativity in one go, because he knows whoever has harmed you, as much as that person is a guilty party, my Allah has the clout and the muscle to block him and stop him. And if Allah did not stop it, then that was the will of Allah in my favor. So he rises above. He goes beyond. He doesn't have a cursory glance. He has a deep eye. He doesn't have the outward eye. He has the inner eye. أَلَا تَرَى إِلَى يُوسُف حِينَ عَلِمَ مَجْرَ الْقَضَاء. Don't you marvel at Yusuf when he's seen how the plan of fate, destiny and taqdeer played out? He said, I've got no gripe with you. You dropped me in the well. The caravan picked me up. but ultimately this is what my Lord has decreed for me. So my chapter with you is done. I have forgiven you, and may Allah forgive you.
As Muslims, we are often reminded of your moral and religious obligations to follow humans who are in some difficulty. Uncertainty, who is our difficulty advanced or and from time to time there is call and campaign respond assist employer like some cite it in the Arabic language. It's always better for your preserve on your own pain and afflicted, and it's always better for you to react and assist and not be silent on the pain of others to a creation extend. The Muslim Ummah continues to really assist and support, and may Allah bless on in all, but that's not the force of my talk today. I want to change strategies momentarily as we draw toward the fine days of the saints moment of the Ramzan. How after are we remained?